So I am here with Scott Tatelman, who is watching his kids. There's no telling what's going to happen to maybe interrupt this, but everyone listening, you have to hear this. You have to know who Scott is. I'm just going to say quickly, I went to Nepal for a month, and I went because I had read and I heard a monk speak about how he gives to the rest of the world. And I never saw anyone with a commitment. And they actually, Time magazine calls him the happiest man in the world because he meditates and they put probes on his head, whatever. You can talk to them if you have to. So,
go do your thing.
Okay, so your thing. So Scott is one of those people, and he's going to tell you a little bit about it. We have him only for a little bit of time. Do the best you can, Scott. But I know you had talked about having learning disabilities, but yet you're a superpower to me. Guys, this is Scott Tatelman. I would say he's from State Bags, which is the Give Backpack. But can you do that for us? Because people now more than ever have to give back.
Can I explain what State is?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking? Well, if you said that guy in Nepal was the happiest guy in the world, I look like the most tired man in the world right now, staring at myself.
That's true.
Well, to give like a little bit of understanding of what State is, you have to kind of go further back. So in 2009, I started a summer camp for kids growing up in some of the most underfunded neighborhoods across New York City. So East New York, Bedford-Stuyvesant, Red Hook, Brooklyn, and then it kind of started going into the Bronx as well. And I have a deep background in camp, and I've always been a real believer in camp and what it can do for kids because it did so much for me that my wife and I started this camp, and we somehow convinced 68 kids to come with us on this kind of journey that we now call Camp Power. And 68 kids turned into 250 kids, and we've watched campers turn into counselors and all that. So what happened and how it ties back to State is that we started seeing this recurring theme of kids coming to camp or during the school year carrying all their stuff in ripped shopping bags or trash bags. And while there were great companies doing really good work for kids overseas, there weren't a lot of companies that were focusing on a for-profit level on kids here in our own backyard. So we started the company in 2013 to give back to kids in those neighborhoods that we were focused on serving through Camp Power, but with a different approach than most one-for-one or charitably minded companies do. And that, because I work so closely in these neighborhoods and with these kids, I know that just giving material donations to them is it's nice. It's a nice talking point, but it doesn't really change a life. So we always set out to go beyond, the standard one-for-one. So we weren't going to just be a company that sold stuff and then donated stuff, but we would actually provide experiences that would get kids thinking about beating the odds often stacked up against them, and role models that they could aspire to be like, who have grown up in similar situations as them. And that's what we've done. So when we launched in 2013, we had this little company and we started getting a lot of good press, and that led to partnerships with Beyonce and Chance the Rapper and Star Wars and Jessica Alba and all these big names. And that helped us fuel a lot of our giving efforts, and a lot of them took part in those efforts. And so I'm really proud of the fact that, Jack, if she was on, she would say our product is like nobody else's, which is true. But I feel like we have separated ourselves as one of the most authentically giving companies out there, especially in this moment right now when everybody's like, buy a this and get a mask and give a mask and give a that. It's great because it's all helping and it's doing good work. But at the same time, it's I like that we started this company to give before we even knew what we were going to sell.
Wow.
And I'm proud of that. I think that in this world now where it's become a little flooded with, companies trying to get into the socially conscious movement, we were we don't care about anything except giving in a way that makes an impact. It isn't just shipping boxes across the country.
How do you
we've been able to do that.
What is I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
But I know that you're watching your kids and we have you for just a certain period of time. How do you give that it makes a difference? My daughter is you're her best friend and your relative, and she was kind of telling me, I had no idea how do you give to these kids? How does that work?
Well, it's like a lot of different ways. I mean, I'm a huge believer that an experience and a person can change a life. I'm not a big believer that, and I see it with my kids, like they get stuff, and it's like they get excited about it for 10 minutes and then they move on. And so role models don't move on. Moments that change them don't move on. They stick with them forever. So I have seen how camp changes kids. I've watched 10-year-olds come to camp as scared kids who never left the borough of Brooklyn, come to camp, thrive, be inspired by their counselors who, are real estate agents in Manhattan or financial people in London. And all of a sudden, no, don't turn it on. Okay. And I've watched how, these kids transform because of the people that have been in their lives and the moments.
It's okay. It's okay. Oz is here.
Yeah. Here we go. He can't hear you, which is good. So, so when we started to do this through state, I wanted to build on the experiences that we give the kids at Camp Power, which is like giving them something that they're going to hold on to forever, while coupling that with role model figures who have like walked in their shoes or not. So when we go and do these bag drop events, we don't just show up and hand stuff out. We bring in a DJ, we bring in celebrities, we bring in our pack men and pack women who are child development specialists that have like walked in their shoes and experienced what it feels like to grow up in Brownsville, Brooklyn. And they inspire these kids to like be more and do more. And at the end, of this 60-minute program, which is like really well thought out so that these kids are inspired, they get a backpack. And that backpack is kind of the symbol of them in their journey and staying in school and pursuing education and getting to the next level. And but what is so perfect about the bag drop experience, I believe, is that our packmen and packwomen are like, after school program directors and these incredible humans that start as strangers in the beginning of these events. And then at the end, you have swarms of kids that are asking them to autograph their backpacks. And that to me is like, that flips a switch, because then down the road, these kids are going to say, all right, I remember Coach Rogers saying he could have gone down this path and joined a gang and hung out on the streets, or gone this path and pursue school, the right group of friends, and basketball. And he went down this path, which led him to college, which led him to graduate, which led him to becoming a family man. And that's who I want to be. And I feel like if you can provide that, then you have, that to me is giving. That's the best form of giving back, because, again, stuff goes away, but moments and people that inspire don't. I mean, I could talk about 30 people who've inspired me, that have helped become who I am. And that's, unfortunately, in the neighborhoods that we serve, there really aren't a ton of role model figures. There's certainly people who are working really hard, but life is really tough. It's really difficult, and resources are limited. And, if you can help provide those inspirational figures in these kids' lives, then you're putting them on a path to, really do something with themselves.
That's the most wonderful explanation of what you do. I believe in every single thing that you're saying. And I mean, I also want to make it clear to everybody that Scott lives this and does this. His company is all about this and the giving back, and the camp is about it. That camp must be just incredible. I mean, it must be so inspirational.
We're still waiting for you to be the camp grandma.
I want to be the camp grandma.
The invitation is there.
Well,
I mean, unfortunately, might not be there this summer, because
or any of these. And then you go around the city.
Camp Micah.
That's right. It's okay.
Just let me talk. let me talk. You're good. You got a lot of toys that you can play with.
Yeah.
Camp Power actually is what we're talking about.
So when we talk about Camp Power, how do you choose these kids? Who gets lucky enough? There used to be, before you were born, something called the Fresh Air Fund, and they would send kids to fresh air. They would send them from, like you said, neighborhoods
Still
that
do.
needed. Yeah. So how do you choose the kids, and how many kids get to go?
So we partner with an organization that is like provides after school programming and summer camp programming to kids in all across the 5 boroughs. And it's one of these organizations that I believe doesn't get the credit that they deserve. They're doing unbelievable work in these communities, but they're like small but mighty, you know? So we work with that. Well, I should back up and say, initially we partnered with an organization that was based in East New York, Brooklyn, that was doing really, really great work. Nobody knew about them. And I liked that. I liked the underdogs. And I reached out and I convinced them to kind of, you know, believe in me. And I pitched their kids and their parents and their staff on this. And I was some guy from Boston who like had this dream, and they all kind of bought in because I was real. Like I was a genuine, I just like, I didn't have, it was clear after a while that I had no ulterior motive or hidden agenda. I was like, my goal was to give these kids, you know, a lifetime, an experience of a lifetime. So I knew just from like, you know, being a camp guy for a long time, I wasn't going to just like knock on doors and be like, hey, you want to come to camp? I knew I had to partner with organizations who understood the neighborhoods, understood the right kids and staff to bring. And we've done that. So now we work with Roads to Success and have for like, you know, 8 years or so. And they're my partners, and, you know, they're family at this point. I mean, we're all family because, you know, we've created the Camp Power family. And if you're in it, you understand what that means. And so, yeah.
So we're, you know, the legacy of the biggest thing we can leave is a legacy, I think. I mean, you are doing that. You have left kids who will be changed forever in the rightest way. I mean, I used to live on the Upper West Side, and I would walk through, I hate to say this word, the projects. And there were guys, I was on my way to work, you know, 70 plus years old. I was on my, and these kids were just, these guys were standing there, maybe smoking a joint, hanging out. It wasn't their fault. They had nothing to, they didn't have Scott. I mean, these kids, if someone said, hey, here's a cool job, or here's a job, you're going to make some money, they would, I mean, I know, and they needed what you have to offer. And that's a legacy.
Yeah, I will say, I think the success of Camp Power and like the mission side of state has all been because I had the foresight to connect like what I wanted to do in my heart with the right people. So I was self-aware enough to know I'm a Jewish kid from the suburbs of Boston, Massachusetts. Like, I haven't grown up in neighborhoods. I don't understand truly on a personal level the struggles that these kids do, but like, I need to find people who can like, who understand that, so that the experience is pure and it's right and it's not tone deaf.
Right.
And I think that, you know, that's been a crucial part of my process, is that like, I wasn't going to convince myself that I could do this on my own just because I was really passionate about it. I wanted to find the people who were like so committed to these kids and neighborhoods that when we offered them something, they would be like, okay, now this is cool. I like this, like, you know. And so I don't know. I just, I consider what we've done like a real team effort. And I was just kind of I was like the producer who kind of like put the right pieces in place so that kids could get really excited and inspired by it.
So they went to an existing summer camp. How did that work?
So this was right after the financial crisis, but I was able to secure funds, and I was able to find a camp in Pennsylvania that we partnered with for the first 2 summers. Wasn't the right camp. Beautiful camp, like facility wise was unbelievable. But philosophically completely different, like not the right. So like they just didn't get what we were trying to do. And it was it was a real struggle.
Yeah.
So then we moved on the 3rd year and we went to our home now, which is at Tyler Hill Camp in Pennsylvania, which is one of the most like unbelievable camps in the country, if not the world. And the beautiful thing about working with them is that we never hear the word no. In 10 years that we've been there,
right.
Can we get more jump ropes? Can we get more balls? Can we use this? Can you open this? And it's like they understand what like the power of Camp Power. Like they want these kids to leave asking for another week or asking when, our bowling event is. And so like they understand that camp is like nothing else, and Camp Power as a 1-week camp is like nothing else. So it's been a good partnership. And
how many kids go to camp?
It was supposed to be about 250 this summer.
And that's for free.
Yeah, $0.
You have to raise money, however you do that, to feed these kids. It's a lot. But I mean, are the camp counselors kind of regular camp counselors from Tyler Hill, or are they?
We have it's like 3 groups of people that come and staff this. So you have Tyler Hill staff who don't live in the bunks with the kids, but they're the lifeguards, they're the ropes course directors, they're like the specialty staff who like help us run camp because they know camp best. And then you have volunteers who come who are like friends of mine who literally take a week off of their lives, of their jobs. They leave their families. Like it's become crazy how people like stop everything to focus. Like they work their whole year around this 1 week of Camp Power. And then the third group of kids or third group of staff is the staff from Roads to Success. So the people who work in these neighborhoods, who work in the after school programs, summer programs, they know the kids, they know the families, they have the relationships. And that's crucial because when issues arise or things come up, they can take a kid aside and be like, I know what's going on here. Whereas, a lot of the volunteers are coming in and they don't know the background of these kids and they don't understand the issues and the struggles. And so, I think it's like the perfect blend. Wonderful. Because it gives these kids again, I just think opening these kids' eyes to other types of people is so key. Because I remember meeting people from Ireland when I was a camper and being like, this accent is so weird, but I became more worldly through the process. Right. And so I think that's happened with us too.
So we're actually your kids are behaving really well right now.
Mm.
I mean,
don't jinx it.
Don't jinx it. So, okay. So we established all that. And as I said, when I went to Nepal, I worked and I taught the young monks art. And it was wonderful. And then I went and I worked in a couple orphanages there. And it was, to me, it was like the best part of the trip. So what do people do? What do we do now, Scott? I want to reach out. I'd like to do that. I don't see any other. This is, as we say, the dessert course of my life. I can't imagine anything more important than doing all the things you're talking about right now.
Well, I mean, it's a little hard to say that too right now in this moment because people are just trying to they're literally trying to survive, health-wise, financially, everything else. So I don't want to sound soapboxy and be like, you got to give back and find a way and find an organization. But I do think that this is a real moment for people, because there are so many organizations who do. Yeah.
What's this for?
It's you got to plug it in. Here, plug it in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think the one thing that we're proud of through state is that like I was talking about before, how we've done our giving in a very innovative way. we have this, what do we tell the kids platform that I think gets like overshadowed too much. Cause like we use our platform to talk about. So we have this whole, I do these projects around tough social issues. So like mass incarceration, the Flint water crisis, LGBTQ issues, harmful language around people with disabilities. Oh my God, Black Lives Matter. Like we've done all these things that most for-profit companies wouldn't do because
where do you do those?
They're on our site and Instagram too. So it's like hashtag, what do we tell the kids? And it asks the question, what do we tell the kids about mass incarceration? What do you tell the kids about why Flint hasn't had clean water in 6 years? Like, so then we do these like elaborate initiatives where we interview or put a video together, talk to people in those communities who are living this, and they shed light on that issue. And then we curb it to like, how is this impacting, or how do you explain this to the next generation? Like, how would you explain this to Eve? How would you explain this to Ayla? Like, why?
What we're going through now? I know.
Like, if you take any social issue and you ask the question, how would you explain that to your 8-year-old granddaughter?
Yeah.
Like, it stumps you. And doesn't that say everything? That like, wait a second, the fact that I can't explain why people who had minor drug charges are still locked up after 20 years because of their race, I can't explain that to my granddaughter. So why is it still a thing? So that was kind of because I'm like very always focused on like doing stuff for kids. So I started this whole like hashtag or platform to talk about it. And it was really risky as a for-profit business because, when you talk about Black Lives Matter as a for-profit company, like people are going to get pissed. And I was like, fuck that. I don't care. Like if they don't want to be our customers or Instagram followers, then I don't care. And if we aren't willing to stand for something, and if we aren't willing to have a voice and to use it in a way that helps the people we were built to serve, then I'm not interested in having a business. I don't care about making $1 gazillion. I care about doing the right thing. So I mention it because I think that there are always different ways for individuals to find ways to give back. So like, it's like, it shouldn't be, you shouldn't have to blend it into what the world or your friends are doing. It should be like, tap into like what sings for you. Like what makes you feel like, I am so passionate about this. I want to support a specific cause. Maybe writing a check is that, or maybe it's like, I'm going to post for 1 week. I'm going to post on Instagram about an organization that is doing great work. And that's how I'm going to give back. And like, there's so many different ways to do it now that don't just involve volunteering or writing a check. That I think that's what's cool about this moment, is there's so many different channels and platforms to use your passion and use, and to support.
I used to work at a women's prison in Nashville for years, and I was a volunteer. I volunteered as a mentor, and we did everything. I taught meditation. I don't know but I did it for years. And the number one thing was to just give somebody, in my mind, and it was a big commitment, but it was just giving somebody a light. They've had so much darkness, and just to give them a light, just give them something to look forward to, just give them something that someone believes in them, goes a really long way. And
we've had like, that's exactly right. Like at the end of Camp Power, every year we have a campfire and we give kids the opportunity to like do shout outs and thank yous to their counselors or to whatever. And it's like the most moving moments, because you just you hear kids saying something around the lines of like, nobody ever believed in me until here. And I never felt this loved as I do here. And I you know, like all those things. And so if you can give that light, and if you can provide that, then that goes a really long way.
That really goes a long way. It's the thing that they don't see, and it's the I mean, I so respect what you do. I used to do like a lot of work, and right now I would like to reach out, but I'm moving to Rhinebeck, and
I heard it's awesome.
yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I used to work in shelters and stuff like that, but there's going to be a generation of Scott kids or state kids whose lives were changed as a result of what you've done. And
I mean,
for all of you
yeah.
listening, and I hope, Scott, that you share this podcast with people so people understand that it can be done. I mean, it just can be done.
But I would say to parents, like my parents were the types of people who like never really let me be satisfied with being like, for lack of a better way of putting it, like a privileged kid. Like I grew up with everything I needed.
Yeah.
I had, all the things that I wanted and asked for. I wasn't spoiled, but like I lived really good, and I was safe, and I had a loving family. But like they still pushed, or they still kind of got me to think about the people that didn't have that. And so in like a weird tight walk that, or tightrope walk that is, because like you don't want to grow up making your kid feel guilty about what they have, but it does ask the question of like, you don't want them to be complacent in thinking that everybody has that. And like now that they realize that everybody doesn't have that, what can they do to support those that don't? And so I'm always like trying to do stuff with our kids just to get them to understand that like we're really, really, really lucky, especially right now. But like there's a lot of people out there who aren't. So like let's not just talk about it. Let's figure out a way to make them feel as lucky as us, or let's make them feel like we are thinking about them, which is sometimes the effort that is that goes a long way too. So I'm a little bit obsessive about that. Like I don't want my kids to feel like yeah, like we had it all, or I don't know, that doesn't feel right to me. So the biggest moment in my life was my parents showing us the mini series Roots.
Oh yeah.
I was changed. I was like in 7th grade, and I realized, I didn't know how, but I realized that my life was going to be centered around like, just supporting people who didn't have a fair shot. So it was shaking for me, earth rattling.
I have a family from Arkansas. My mother's family is from Arkansas, and they're very kind of my family are apologetic about the concept of slavery, but I mean, there are slave houses, and it was the way these people's they lived their lives. And I don't want to, go on and on, but there's a big job for us in terms of if we don't have to, maybe everyone listening here is not going to organize something as amazing that you organize, but just giving respect to the next person is this is the time. I mean, now more than ever.
Yeah. I mean, I and for the parents out there too, it's like realizing that right now is such a moment of like, although you can't really like mobilize with your kids and like go serve somewhere or volunteer somewhere because we're in this like weird situation, but like you can definitely open their eyes or talk to them about the struggles of a lot of people in this country, in this world. I think it's important for kids to understand the struggles, like specifically in this country, because I think kids, it's hard for them to understand and grasp like other countries, like faraway countries that they've never been to or don't know. But it really like hits my kids that like, the kids that we serve at Camp Power, some of them are growing up like a mile away from us or less.
Wow.
Like, they take the same subway stop as us. And I don't know, on like a micro level, I think kids can like really, they can understand that like
I
a
agree.
lot needs to happen here before we start doing great things elsewhere. I think it's important to support our own.
I agree with you. And, you know, it's the one thing that you can do. It's the respect for the next person. And someone, maybe the Dalai Lama, maybe this man, Matthew Richard, had said that if we ever wanted to believe that this is one world and we are just people, what's just happened to us has it's felled the whole world. And,
Yeah.
and rich, poor, whatever. And we kind of are all in this thing together. So can we just talk about, I'm going to go to just state bags. I don't want to keep you forever, but I love talking to you, and I love this conversation. It means more to me than most things. I was just thinking while we're talking, but maybe a lot of people don't have, and I'm sure you figured this out, they don't have Zoom or computers, but can you ever get together with your kids in Zoom, like the camp kids, or how does that work?
So when this whole thing happened, like I was obviously really shaken for my own family and scared of what was to come.
Yeah.
But then my immediate second thought was like, but what about these kids that are like, in these smaller apartments in tougher neighborhoods?
Right.
They can't leave. They have a lot of family members, a lot of them, in their apartments. And like, this is going to be, and not to mention, the lack of after school programming and schools means that like those role model figures are just instantly stripped away.
Right.
And that to me was like, I got to do something. Like, I don't know what it is. So we started doing this thing called CPTV, which was just like Instagram live sessions with some of our staff members who would host, like, learn how to juggle or learn how to speak Spanish or learn how to bake cookies or COVID-19 question and answers for kids. And so we would have these things on our Camp Power Instagram page that were specifically geared towards our kids so that they could have something to look forward to throughout the day and be inspired by. So did like these little 30-minute sessions, and it was going great, but it kind of fizzled out because like so many people were doing live sessions and remote learning was a thing. And then what we did the other couple weeks ago, we did a campfire Zoom. So we did it on a Friday or Sunday night, and we had one of our staff members host it, and we had like 200 people on the Zoom. We had people sing like campfire songs. We had
I love that.
We had a surprise cameo by Grant Gustin, who plays the Flash on TV. A lot of kids were super psyched about that. So I'm like trying to rack my brain on ways to continue to keep our kids engaged. It's hard because like everybody's sick of being on Zooms, and especially teachers are like on Zoom all day. And so I'm like, but I'm also looking at the potential of us not having camp in 2 months. And I'm like, I don't know how, we're going to deal with that. It's going to be devastating, but I got to figure out ways to, if anyone has ideas or anyone has like celebrity contacts that our kids would be super excited to see on a Zoom or whatever. I'm just trying to like keep their lives like, with surprises and fun, and keep the Camp Power family together.
Maybe we could get a magic thing. My kids watched, my granddaughters, even Sid, watched Penn and Teller last night do magic tricks, and the name of the show was Do This at Home. So
really?
Someone would do a magic trick, and then they'd show you how to do it.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah. So maybe we could figure something out that way, because the kids were like, they loved it.
Is this on Netflix?
It was on CW.
Oh, really?
I don't know what CW is, but
I know. I don't know how to even find that.
Jake knows how to find it, of course. My son-in-law knows how to find everything. But my best friend from all my life's son-in-law is Penn from Penn and Teller.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, he's great. So she said, you got to watch this show. And what was so great is that they were trying to do it. They said, get 3 little, I don't know if you saw, like, and she got 3 little balls and do this and do that. And they were all doing it. So that would be a fun thing for them.
That's a great idea. Magic is, I think they would love that.
Okay. So I don't know what, but I'll try to figure something out.
We had a magician at camp 1 year, and he was awesome. The kids were totally blown away. He like pulled $100 bill out of an orange. Like it was great.
Right.
But, yeah.
So anyway, I want to talk to you, but I don't want to take up all your time.
I'm good. I mean,
all right, good. So I just want to ask you about state bags. By the way, I just got a state tote today. I'm moving and I got this gorgeous state tote. So how did you come up and why the name, and tell me about these bags? Do you mind?
Yeah, no, I mean, so the name was, the thought was to serve kids from the United States. We liked having a 1-syllable name. So I don't know, state felt good. And then we liked the idea of changing the state of minds of the kids that we were serving, that they could beat the odds stacked up against them, as well as like,
nice.
The kids who were living on the Upper East Side or Chappaqua or whatever. And all of a sudden they're carrying something that had a deeper purpose. So like getting the younger generation to realize like, you can actually buy things that have, that serve like a greater thing. And so kind of shifting that state of mind in the next, the younger generation. So state is what we landed on.
It's nice.
And the bags are all designed by Jacqueline, my wife. And I play no part in that. And sometimes I give my opinion, which either is liked or immediately shot down. And that's the role I play as a husband and as a co-founder.
What did you say? Wife eyes the last time?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I mean, working with your wife or husband is not for the weary. I would say to anyone that is contemplating that, they should probably call us first. And we could give a very honest, but we've been able to do it while raising 2 kids.
Yeah.
We're still here to talk about it.
And the bags
as I look completely exhausted.
You just look tired. I mean, a lot of us look tired for a million different reasons. I took a state bag for all of you listeners, like a crossbody, when I went to Nepal. And my big thing was, if I lose my passport, no one will ever hear from me again. And that's the end of me. So I would like wear this bag, a state bag. They're perfect. And it had my passport, my credit cards, and my phone. And it was...
I mean... You are our top 5 customer of all time. I think your name pops up in our e-com buyers list every month.
I'm I am. But I love them and I wear them. I will wear them. They never wear out. Does anyone else?
Every time I see you, you're wearing a state bag.
I am.
Fanny pack, backpack. You're wearing them on Instagram for your walks. You're always wearing them.
They're great. So if I buy one, I know that a backpack is going to go to someone. How does that work? So you wait till you sell like 200 bags and
no, we actually
drop or what?
Well, up until 2 years ago, we were a straight 1-for-1. So literally every bag we sold, we would give a backpack. And then we realized the world was changing. And I did this big initiative in Flint, and I was going to did donate 10,000 bags. And we did this big What Do We Tell the Kids project and a bag drop out there. And I was telling this principal about what we were looking to do. And she was like, that sounds great. But what we really need is for people to know we still have, poisoned water. And I was like, I'm not going to sit here and yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to sit here and, pretend like I don't want to keep being the same thing. Like, I want to evolve with the times and I want to be more. So now for every bag we sell, we support American kids, families, and communities in need, but in the ways they need it most.
Like
So
what?
we earmark a percentage of our profits, our proceeds for the year, and donate that money in different ways. So if our partners need backpacks, then it comes out of our giving budget. If they ask us to do, what do we tell the kids project, to shed light on a cause, then it comes out of our give budget. If they want us to write a check to their organization, then we will. So like, what I love about that is it allows us to be more flexible with how we give, that it's not just like, oh, we work with this organization, we donated all these bags, but we did this project featuring their kids and, talked about what they do and the cause that they're fighting. So we're now like, multifaceted in how we give, and it's not just like bag for a bag. So everybody should know that no matter what product they buy, if the end result is us giving back in a variety of ways.
And the stuff is gorgeous. I mean, it's chic, it's cool. I'm a vegan, so you've got a lot of things that are not leather. I like that about it. They're really, really, really well made. And the interesting thing is these bag drops. I thought that you filled the bags with stuff.
Mm-mm.
That's not how it happens. Is that right?
I mean, it kind of is. Like, the process is that we do our program, like the 60-minute program, and then at the end we set up what we call our supply shop, where kids like file through and we play music and it's really fun. And companies who know us or just charitably minded will donate products. So I'll talk to the organization or school we work with and say, like, what do your kids need? And they'll say school supplies or healthy snacks or socks or sweatshirts or hoodies or, beanies for the winter. And I will reach out to companies and I'll say, can you donate X amount of whatever? And most times they say yes, if they're able. And so at the end of the event, kids will leave with like a fully packed bag that they pack themselves. Like, they go shopping for the items, and it's like, they get super excited about it.
So does music help?
I mean, we used to do our bag drops to like no music, and in the first like year or two we didn't have a DJ, and then we partnered with Beyonce and we were like, we got to bring a DJ to these things. And music is we work with DJs who are like, so they just like know what the kids love, and you play one beat of a song and the place goes insane.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like a party.
Yeah. I interviewed a guy. I met him, and he came from Uruguay to New Jersey because he was a classic musician, and the thing was from Chopin to hip hop, and now he writes hip hop music, but he still loves classical music. But when I talked to him, it would be like you and me, and we're talking and we're cool. And then he showed up to do his podcast with sunglasses and a hoodie. And I just loved it. I mean, he was so great. And he just talked about his voice is music.
Yeah.
Not
I would say like the consistent thread of Camp Power and State too, our bag drops have been music and dancing. Like, it's like it's the ultimate equalizer, just like you put music on for kids in a setting that they feel comfortable, or it makes them feel comfortable, and the smiles and the just the feeling in the room is just like, I've had some of the best moments in my life watching kids dance at Camp Power. I've always every year I post from our talent show, which happens on Wednesday night. I say, you could pay $200 for Broadway tickets, or you could spend $0 at Camp Power and watch this talent show, and you would be like, holy shit, these kids are so talented.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and also they are, I don't know if you'll know this reference, but like the whip nene dance was like this dance that everybody was doing a summer or two ago.
Yeah.
But at Camp Power, the summer before everybody was doing it is when Camp Power was like, the kids at Camp Power were doing it way before the world knew about it. So it's almost like we have this like glimpse into what's coming for the rest of the world, because like they are so tapped into the music that way ahead of time. Yeah. It's
I wonder if they wouldn't like to do. Did you watch Krasinski?
Mm-hmm. Ayla and I watched it religiously every Monday.
And we'd watch it with the kids. But the first one is what's it called? Such Good News, SGN.
Some Good News, yeah.
Some Good News. And he had all the cast from Hamilton. And I mean, it'd be cute, like all these kids from Camp Power doing like a thing like that. I mean, I
haven't cried like that. I mean, I cry typically every day now for various reasons, just emotional roller coasters. But watching that Hamilton segment was like, I also feel like if I had the platform that John Krasinski did or does, like I would like create Some Good News. Like that is my brain. I watched the first one and I was like, this is me. Like this is what I should be doing. Like I want this. And it's awesome that he's done it. And it's even awesomer that he's a Boston guy. That makes me proud. But, man, it's just like, I love what he's doing. It's so my brain and my heart. I just love it. It's great. My kids love it.
Well, how many? And it's hysterically funny. Like at the end, he gets up and he's wearing a tutu or a prom dress. But how many things that are that funny and that cool can you sit and watch with your kids? It's the right thing.
I know, and it's like the message is perfect. It's a positive, hopeful message that makes you leave like feeling inspired and you're not super dreadful about what's going on. And he nailed it. He nailed it.
He did.
And he's walking away at the right time.
I know. Why is he walking away? I
think it's like after 8 episodes, he's probably like, how much more innovative can we be? Like, we got the cast of The Office. We got the cast of Hamilton. We've gotten like, I got
Robert De Niro.
Brad Pitt. Like, it's like how much, I think you reach a point where it's like, you got to walk away before. I mean, smart. Leave them wanting more.
Leave people wanting more. Maybe you're doing it or something. I love talking to you anyway.
Yeah, you too.
Halloween. But I love this, and I didn't want to just say and tell me this and tell me that. It's just like, so you're so devoted to this, and I want other people to hear it, and I want other people to spread the word.
Well, you've also done some good work with your family. I mean, your daughter is also the most charitably minded person out there, who's always giving and always finding causes and sending me things to make me aware of things. So like you did something right as well. So you should tap yourself on the shoulder.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You've done good, as my grandpa would say. You've done good.
My kids and I would drive around and we would feed people in the middle of the winter when we lived in, in the city. And
rescuing 24 dogs. And,
everything. And this man, these 2 homeless guys come up to the car and we had soup and bread. And Michael said to this one guy, here. And Michael was 4, and he gave the man his gloves. They were so little. They like for a little doll. And he said to the guy, here. And I thought, oh my God. Yeah. Well, Scott, I don't know how anyone can get in touch with you. How could if someone's listening and they say, you know what? I've got an idea for this guy. How would they get in touch with you?
My God, I would love that. Well, you could email me, Scott, SCOT @State Bags, or the easier one is give at State Bags, which is something I look at all the time. And, our resources are definitely not as expansive as they were 6 months ago or a year ago, but so it's a little tough to like do what we were doing on the giving side from like a innovative standpoint, but I'm always up for ideas and for organization. Unfortunately, we're getting like floods of emails from tons of healthcare workers asking for bags, and we only have so many things to give. But yeah, we read every email. So
it's Scott@state.com.
Scott, it's Scott with one T, so just one T, which is also my Instagram handle.
Okay.
Just one T. Scott@statebags.com.
Okay. And the other one was give@statebags.com.
Yep.
Okay, everybody, it's up to you. We're going to throw the ball in your court. Scott, I love you. You're amazing. Is Ayla still fishing out there?
No, she bagged it a couple of minutes ago, but hello, Eve, in the little gymnastics attire you got going on.
That's right. Oh, she bagged it. I understand.
Well, I might take them tonight, though. It's going to be a beautiful night. I'm doing an Instagram. Oh, this is what you should know. I'm doing an Instagram live session in an hour, which is, I need to maybe put some makeup on or something. I don't know here, but I've been doing this thing where I interview or I talk to nonprofit directors who we've worked with and just give them the platform to like on State Bags' account, which has like 50,000 followers, to like, just talk about what they do and for our followers to know about it and support. So I'm talking with this woman, Jess, from this organization called Motivote, which you should know about. And actually I sent the information to Kate for maybe for Zola to get involved. But it's basically finding ways to inspire the younger generation to vote in like really smart kind of new age thinking. So we were going to partner with her this spring, and obviously that didn't happen. So I want to give her the time to tell about what she's doing. And so that's happening at 5:30 today.
So the more you can do, the better it is. So it's Scott, SCOT @statebags.com. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Betty. It's great talking to you.
Maybe you can put me in touch with some people to interview. Maybe we can try and make.
I believe what I told you last time, that like you have such a great, especially now you're moving into this new town, all these cool shops, they're all like wanting to get their name out there. And you walk into the store and you say, "Hi, I'm Betty Lee. I'm new to the area, but I have this podcast and I'd love to feature you on it. Can I sit down and interview you today or next week?" They would all love that. And all of a sudden you have it breaks the ice, and all of a sudden they meet you, and then they fall in love with you, and you have friends.
And I have friends. Yeah, I'm moving to a town where I do not know one person. But
you have this podcast, and I think that they would, and they would love, like these little businesses, especially right now, they would love the opportunity to talk about them and what they do, and it's great. It's a great opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Say hello to your family.
I will. I've been socially distancing from them, which has felt great.
I understand. Have a good night, honey.
You too.